And as we mentioned, today marks 60 years since the opening of Vatican II. It is a council with a mixed legacy, but of great significance in church history. The EWTN News Contributor Catherine Hadro brings us reaction to the council and its ongoing impact on the church today.
Vatican II was a council carried on by saints. St. John XXIII called for it, St. Paul VI continued it, and Blessed John Paul I and St. John Paul II took part in it. The Second Vatican Council started, even though the first one never quite finished.
Technically, it was not finished. It had simply come to an end.
But St. John XXIII felt a great call to bring all the bishops of the world together to address what historian, theologian, and EWTN News Executive Editor Dr. Matthew Bunson describes as massive changes that had taken place.
We're talking about the shattering changes that had taken place because of the two world wars, the Great Depression. You had as well the immense changes in society, technology, communications that had taken place. So the fundamental question that he wanted to address was, how is it possible for the church to communicate to the modern world the unchanging truths of the faith, but in a way that the modern world could understand, that it could actually take to its heart and to mind?
Monsignor Paul McPartlin is a professor of historical and systematic theology at the Catholic University of America and a Vatican II expert. As Monsignor studied to become a priest in Rome, a number of his professors had themselves been advisors at Vatican II.
It was a very precious connection almost with the council. And of course, in all of our courses of study, we were very much engaging with the documents of the council, which then was still very recent, very fresh.
The council in 1962 called together all the bishops, along with observers, auditors, religious sisters, and laity.
The council was a very tumultuous time, and, there was a very vigorous exchange of views and opinions.
As the council continued on through 1965, documents were put forward, and people in the pews could begin seeing the impact from the meetings in Rome.
They were especially and most keenly felt on the parish level. And then, of course, came the transformative moment with the implementation of the Novus Ordo of the new Mass for the Church, the Mass of Pope Paul VI. That really ended one era and began another liturgically in the life of the Church, but most especially for the daily lives of Catholics.
There were other effects as well: enhanced awareness of Scripture, greater ecumenical engagement, and, as McPartlin shares, a reminder of the Church's mission.
On the big picture, I think I would say that the Second Vatican Council wanted really to help the Church to realize that it exists in history. In other words, thinking of the Church as the pilgrim people of God, which is one of the most important motifs of the Council.
Even though Vatican II took place 60 years ago, the work of the Council is still very much felt in the Church today.
Vatican II is immensely relevant, looking at the history of the Church. A great council often takes 100 years before its teachings have really got into the bloodstream of the Church, until its teachings have been received. And as Pope Francis, often says, that means that we're really only halfway through with Vatican II.
To understand the proper implementation of a council, we have to think not just in decades, but even a century or several centuries. That interpretation and that implementation is going to take a very long time for the Church. And we have to have the patience as a church, as Catholics, to see how that really can be implemented in our lives, in the life of the Church, but also to have that trust that the work of the Council, intending as it was to bring the Church into that dialogue with the modern world, needs to happen.
6 decades since it all began, perhaps we've only gotten the first look at the Second Vatican Council.
I often think the Council is like a gift that's been given to us wrapped up, and like a Christmas present, we have to unwrap it. And we are still unwrapping it.
Reporting from Washington, Catherine Hadro, EWTN News Nightly.